showing you some baby pictures. I can't believe within this many women, yes?
They're cute, and so they keep people's interest. They
Yeah.
they're babies.
I was going to say, I can't believe I didn't get one off. Exactly. You know, the somewhat callous joke is, why are kids so cute so you don't kill them? I raised two, I know. Neotenic characteristics stimulate a nurturing response from humans. This is programmed in for us to take care of our offspring. And dogs project an array of emotions that include these neotenic characteristics that essentially elicit these feelings from us. They woo us. I'm going to show you one more video because I want you to tell me who this fellow is, okay? And this is another example of neoteny and its effect on culture. Very good. Steamboat Willie. 1928, Steamboat Willie was introduced to the American public by Walt Disney. All right? Not a very likable character, would you say? No. Not very lovable. He's not going to elicit many fans. Stephen Jay Gould. Anybody know who Stephen Jay Gould is? Coming up with a lot of questions. He said, Stephen Jay Gould, the late Stephen Jay Gould, was another hero of mine. He was an evolutionary biologist and philosopher. And what he did, he wrote a column for Nature, a monthly column that just had wonderful, deep thoughts in it. And what he did, he took simple things. He loved baseball, for instance, but he took simple things like this. He looked at, here's Steamboat Willie, introduced in 1928. And just have a look at him. What Stephen Jay Gould did is, just with the aid of a pair of measuring calipers, he did some measurements on Steamboat Willie compared to Mickey Mouse later on in life. What did he, later on in his evolution, what did he find? He found that, look at the size of the eyes of Steamboat Willie as compared to Mickey. Look at the nose. Here's Willie's nose. Here's Mickey's nose. Look at this cranial vault, actually accomplished by moving the ears back. The animators at Disney moved the ears back and gave this bulge to the head there, okay? So what happened is they made Mickey Mouse a neotenic character. They gave him childlike traits. And also, by the way, he seemed to assume a pretty insipid personality, and you will never see Mickey Mouse nowadays hurling cats against walls or throwing bricks at birds and windows. He just is not going to do that, okay? He's become domesticated, neotenic, and you know, maybe not for me, but for a huge number of people, maybe one of the most loved characters in American culture, all attained through neoteny. Now, you know, I don't think that the animators just capriciously chose this. They chose to make him this way, but he turned out that way, probably through their own choices. Conrad Lorenz, the great behaviorist, features of juvenility trigger innate releasing mechanisms for affection and nurturing in humans. And Stephen Jay Gould, whose study I just described to you, we are fooled by an evolved response to our own babies, and we transfer our reactions to the same set of features in other animals. Fascinating stuff to me. So looking at the bond, what we have so far gone through, dogs possess a unique ability to read human social cues. Humans and dogs share social signals. Humans probably benefited from early association with dogs, Dogs stimulate human affection through the expression of neotenic traits. And then where we're going to go now, dogs and humans provide mental and physical support for each other. If dogs mimic our emotions, do we ever mimic canine gestures? Do we? You think? Yeah, I think so. Maybe you've heard of Charles Darwin, okay? Check him out sometime. Many common human gestures can be traced to originally adaptive actions in humans, later internalized as symbols. How about this one here? How about that? There's a trait that, you know, that we have adopted from our canine brethren. So let me just wind it down to the end here. That is the dogs and people watching and listening to each other. How did we, let's look at more in depth about this bond. Vilmos Sianyi, I have trouble pronouncing his name, he did some experiments, and these are pretty neat. What he did is he took recordings of dogs in 7 different situations, of their vocalizations in 7 different situations. Then he played them for people, remote from the action, okay? He played the recordings for people and said, you know, what was this dog? How do you interpret these vocalizations? And both dog owners and non-owners were equally successful at a rate much greater than chance of describing what the situation was that dog was vocalizing about. Much greater than chance. In other words, even if you don't own a dog, we share something about communication with dogs and their vocalizations. Another experiment that he did was he gave wolves and dogs a problem. And that is that he put a piece of food out there, and they essentially had to pull a rope to get the lid to come off, and then they would get their food free. Not a very difficult task, and wolves and dogs each solved it easily. Okay? Then what he did is he anchored the rope down and then let them try it. And what did these two groups do? Well, the wolves just tirelessly pulled on the rope and pulled on the rope until they finally became exhausted. Dogs pulled on the rope once or twice, and then they looked around. Hey, what am I supposed to do here? They're looking for a social cue. Another neat experiment. The researchers go into people's houses. They have a dog, okay? They get out the milk bone, all right? And the dog is watching them, and they hide it in some place the dog can't get it. And then they leave. And then the owner comes home. And the dog is giving the owner cues to the tree. Okay? Y'all remember Lassie from when we grew up, okay? Timmy's falling in the mill stream. Of course, Lassie's just barking, and this is the interpretation, you know? Oh, the mill's on fire? Timmy's caught in the bottom floor? You always have to exaggerate for a TV show, right? So, and finally, another experiment is he put wolf pups. He had a person sit in a room and just basically stare into space. And then he had a stuffed toy in there. And he would put a wolf puppy in one at a time, a wolf puppy or a dog puppy. And what the wolf puppy would do is go sniff at the toy, go sniff at the human, crawl up on the human's lap and fall asleep. Never really made any human eye contact. Puppies, on the other hand, went in, they solicited both the stuffed toy and the person. They were looking for a response. And so Brian Hare, who I talked about his experiment here at the very beginning, these findings suggest that during the process of domestication, dogs have been selected for a set of social cognitive abilities that enable them to communicate with humans in unique ways. This is the human-canine bond. Paul Shepard, the great philosopher, talking about people coming down in our evolution, coming down out of the trees onto the savanna and watching these creatures out in the distance. You know, for people, well, let me go back one step. If you're talking about a predator-prey relationship, and you have say a cheetah hunting down a gazelle, okay? The cheetah and the gazelle, both get some development in their brains because they have to figure out, one has to figure out how to escape the other one, the other has to figure out how to catch the other one, okay? For people, we had to figure out both how to catch something, but also how to not be caught. And this essentially, we evolved this way